Hello everybody. In this video, we'll be creating a simple chat application using OpenWhisk framework, a Docker container with Java 8 and Scala installed, and IBM Cloudant database to store the chat informations. We'll be creating a Scala action, which is basically an executable program packaged in a Docker container. Serverless computing has been a growing technology in the cloud. These kind of architecture helps you build and run your applications without having to manage the infrastructure. Serverless computing allows you to completely focus on your business logic and leave all the headache of managing the servers, application servers, scaling, optimizing to the provider. IBM Bluemix, the cloud platform as a service, has a service called OpenWhisk, which allows each user to upload their programs, codes, or functions and execute them through REST API. Let's talk about the architecture. You need to create a Scala action. For this, you'll spin a Docker container with Java 1.8 and Scala installed and the executable program that you have written. The program basically does CRUD operations on an IBM Cloud NoSQL database. This executable code in the Docker container is deployed to OpenWhisk server and can be executed through RESTful API using OpenWhisk command line interface. Let's create and execute a Scala action. We'll be following step-by-step instruction to create a Scala-based function to run using OpenWhisk server. The first thing you need to do is to download the OpenWhisk command line interface. Make sure you have access to Whisk CLI utility in your local machine. The OpenWhisk command allows you to run the function created in OpenWhisk server through a command line. You can go to a link in your console and download the macOS client. And once you are ready, you can execute the command whisk to see if it's successfully installed or not. Once you have successfully installed OpenWhisk command line interface, the next step is to run OpenWhisk server. You could create an instance of OpenWhisk server from Bluemix console, or you could run the OpenWhisk server locally into your machine by following a README on GitHub. You can follow this GitHub link and follow step-by-step instruction in the README to successfully install OpenWhisk server locally. To check you have successfully installed OpenWhisk server into your local machine, you would execute a hello world action and receive a JSON message with hello. Let's run the command. So once you execute this command, you'll receive a response with message hello. This means that you have successfully installed the server locally and it's running into your local machine. Step is to create a Dockerized Scala container. For this, you could download a Docker skeleton, or you can clone the GitHub link and follow a README to create a Docker skeleton. A Docker skeleton is basically a template to inject custom executables or binaries through Docker. You can also download this template using command whisk SDK install Docker. This will basically download a template into your local machine. The Docker file have steps to install JDK and Scala so that we could compile and build Scala-based project that connects to the IBM Cloudant database for CRUD operations. The file should contain steps to put Scala and Java runtime executables into the class path. All the steps are defined here in Docker file. The next step is to create an IBM Cloudant database from console. You can go to console, Bluemix console, and create a NoSQL database from Cloudant, and make sure you make note of the username, the password, host, port, URL, database name, key, and passcode after the Cloudant NoSQL database has been created. The next step is to create a Cloudant NoSQL database from IBM Bluemix console. In order to do that, create a Cloudant NoSQL service to store chat data information from IBM Bluemix console. You can go to this link and create a NoSQL database and make sure you copy the credentials so that you can connect to the IBM Cloudant database for crowd operations. These credentials will be used in the Scala program that you'll be writing for chat application. Once the NoSQL database has been created and you have successfully made note of credentials, you will be creating a Scala program that exposes an API which basically connects to IBM Cloudant database to retrieve and store chat information. You can access the Scala code from the GitHub link here and have access to all the code base through this link. The credentials will be used in the resources configured properties, which basically the Scala program uses to communicate with Cloudant NoSQL database. The Java and Scala module required for this project is defined in build.svg file within the project. Build the Scala file locally. It creates a jar file which is placed in the class path so that the exec file will have access to it. You can run the Scala code by using svg clean assembly. This command will create a jar file which is placed in the class path so that the exec file can access the jar file. Once you have built the Scala-based program, you'll see a jar file being created in the target directory. The next step is to create a Scala executable file. The file name should be exec. This is a Scala class that has a main method, which is executed by the OpenWhisk server when accessed through command line. You can see that in the GitHub Scala project whisk action, there is an exec file which is basically a main method, and this class is basically accessed by the OpenWhisk server when accessed through command line through RESTful API. The binary should be located in /action/exe in the Docker image. The executable receives two arguments, a command and the chat message. Based on the command, the logic to store or retrieve differs. There's basically two commands, send chat and get chat. So send chat is basically sending a chat to a recipient, and get chat is basically receiving all the chat transcript between you and the recipient. Once the code base is ready, we need to build the Docker image and push it to the server. Let's build the image and push it to the server. Once you have cloned the GitHub link that I have mentioned earlier, you can use command build and push and specify the Docker image that you have created. In this case, it's example. So it's going to take a few minutes to build and push the image and send it to the server. You should notice that the Scala executable is compiled part of the Docker image. The Docker build has been successfully built. And once the Docker image has been successfully built and pushed to the OpenWhisk server, now we are ready to create an action and invoke the action with different parameters to be sent. Let's create an action. In order to create an action, we can run a command whisk action create. It's a Docker action, so the flag should be Docker. The action has been created. Now we can invoke the action with different parameters being sent. So as I mentioned earlier, there are two commands that we can send as a parameter to this action. One is a send chat and the other one is get chat. So we have used a send chat here, and the message that needs to be sent to the server is hi there. At the same time, you can open a log by using command whisk activation poll, and what it does is basically it polls for logs. Anything it prints in the console will be displayed here. So basically, the server has responded with the message that it has received a message, and in this particular timestamp from OpenWhisk and to the user. So this means that the message has been successfully sent. We can also view all the transcript that you have been doing with you and the recipient. In order to do that, we can invoke another command with the same action, and the different command would be get chat. Okay, so now you have received all the messages that you have been conducting with your recipient here.